Just a reminder that we will give other attendees 1 more minute to complete signing on to the presentation, and then we will begin. Thank you for your patience. Hello and welcome to today's webinar. My name is Alex McDonald and I'm the Director for Event Planning and Operations at IronPlanet. We appreciate your attendance and are excited to share more information with you regarding VeriTread and provide more insight into why we view them as such a valuable partner inside the heavy haul industry, and most importantly, how they can provide value to your business as well. At this time, I'd like to welcome our speakers today. On the phone with us, we have Jeff Cox, owner and founder of VeriTread, and Randy Barrett, SVP of Digital Operations with IronPlanet. In order to progress quickly today through today's webinar, we will mute all participants on this call. If you have any questions that you would like to answer, us to answer, please be sure to type your question into the chat window on your GoToWebinar portal. We will then address as many questions as time allows at the end of the call. Randy, at this time, I'll turn the call over to you.
Thank you, Alex. Again, my name is Randy Barrett, and I'm as of last Thursday, I'm Senior Vice President of Digital Operations for Ritchie Brothers. And for almost 10 years prior to that, I was actually Senior Vice President of Operations and Services for IronPlanet. But in reality, my role is very similar. Even though I'm part of Ritchie Brothers, I'm still responsible for IronPlanet operations. I've got a few additional responsibilities within Ritchie, but I'm still responsible for core operations within IronPlanet. And as Alex mentioned, we're very excited about our webinar today. We think that we have a wonderful partnership with VeriTread in the transportation space. We think it's a compelling offering for our customers. Frankly, we think that it's underserved. We probably haven't done a great job of marketing this service to our customers in a way that they totally understand the value that they can get from working with VeriTread. And this presentation today should help give you some very positive insights into the services and capabilities of this partnership. So Jeff Cox is the president and founder of VeriTread. We've worked with Jeff for many years, and we're very excited about our expanding and evolving partnership with VeriTread. And I'm going to let Jeff pick it up from here.
Thanks, Randy. Appreciate that. As Randy stated, I'm the owner and founder of VeriTread, and let me just give you a real quick background on how I got here. I started my career with Lockheed Martin developing software, and I did that for about 10 years. And in 2004, I quit my job, and I took my life savings, and I bought a fleet of Peterbilt trucks, and I started hauling heavy equipment around the country. I then leveraged that into a third-party logistics operation and also expanded into international freight forwarding service. It was never really my intention to become a large asset-based trucking company. I always, from the start, had envisioned automating the process. But to be frank, I just significantly underestimated the effort. It took years of cataloging data, forming alliances, and really compiling all of the intellectual property that would eventually become the core assets of VeriTread. You know, having done that and operating as an asset-based heavy haul trucking company right in the middle of the recession, looking back on it now, it was really an invaluable exercise. I've experienced firsthand the daily challenges that the shippers and the transportation companies have been forced to overcome, and I'm very excited to be able to share those experiences with you here today. So let's just take a real quick glance at the industry as a whole. And by industry, I'm talking about the heavy haul transportation industry. Most people don't realize, but it's a $40 billion industry. For large equipment dealers and OEMs, it's typically their fourth largest cost of goods sold. For the people on this call, the buyers and sellers of used equipment, it's typically your second largest expense. So it's not one that can be ignored, and it's not one that should be taken lightly. To make matters worse, it's complex, it's dangerous, and it's very expensive. These factors have really led to a lack of participation by the large freight companies. So companies like UPS and FedEx and even Uber Freight throwing their hat into the ring recently, they've just completely opted out of heavy haul. They don't want anything to do with it. It doesn't fit into their neat barcoding machine. And because of this, it's really left the industry void of any meaningful automation or technology. So there's no network effect. It's become a niche industry made up of these mom and pop carriers that are really kind of all out for their own mutual advantage. And because of the lack of automation, the lack of data, the lack of a trustworthy network, it's really led to a high degree of frustration and inefficiency inside the industry. And most buyers and sellers of used equipment will tell you it's their single largest headache. I hear that consistently. I apologize if you hear thunder. We're in Florida and we're having a small monsoon out the window, it looks like. So let me share some insights and statistics that we've garnered over the years. Transportation is approximately 10% of your total cost. It's a critical factor when considering a machine purchase. Buyers simply cannot bid with confidence until they understand their full cost picture, and this means understanding their transport cost. So, what we have learned is that 85% of used equipment buyers require a freight quote before making a purchase. Once the purchase is made, 75% of these buyers like to get multiple competing freight quotes from actual trucking companies. And then 64% of used equipment buyers say that transportation uncertainty is one of the primary reasons why they like to shop local. So as more and more equipment is being sold over the internet, and clearly IronPlanet has led that revolution, that's great because buyers are able to source more equipment, extend their reach, increase their buying power. But it has created some really challenging transportation issues. And so that's what we really set out to solve with our partnership when it was established way back in 2009 with IronPlanet. A few tips for buyer success, and I can't really state this strongly enough, but accurate data can make or break a transport deal. The importance of things like loading dock availability, blade width on a bulldozer, if an articulated dump truck has a bed liner, all of those things can have huge ramifications when it comes to the bottom line of transporting machinery. This challenge is not only for large equipment. Sometimes it's the small stuff that really causes the issue. So, if you think about a 200,000-pound bulldozer, well, yeah, that can be hard to move, but on the plus side, it starts, it runs, you can drive it onto a trailer. Well, now picture a set of forks that are laying in a field. They may only weigh 800 pounds, but that's much more than any man or three men can lift. So now you have to consider things like, how am I going to get this loaded onto the trailer? Do I have to arrange for a wrecker, a crane, a forklift? So, I don't want to just limit the conversation to the big, hard-to-move items. It really is all types of industrial freight, and it all comes with different nuances and challenges. Another thing to consider are geographic considerations. So, is the item crossing borders? Is it coming out of Canada? Is it going into Mexico? If so, have you arranged for customs clearance? Is the item going to port? If it's going to port, is it clean? Is it port ready? Is it free from leak? All of these things can have, again, big ramifications when it comes to pricing transport. If you get to the port and the item is leaking, the port will reject it. And the carrier will sit there and their meter will be running. So that's going to ultimately cost you money. You might miss the boat, literally and figuratively. And so it's got big ramifications. Now, these issues are all relatively straightforward, and if properly planned for and disclosed in advance, they can be handled with relatively small impact. But leaving details out in order to try to save money on a transport bill, in my opinion, is just a huge mistake. Once the truck shows up on site, you're already spending money. The meter's ticking. So keep in mind that they're either going to show up well-informed and ready to roll, or they're going to show up unprepared. And it's really important that they show up prepared. I mean, it's again, ultimately, the bill is going to come to you. So IronPlanet and VeriTread have gone to great lengths to ensure that they show up prepared and that they're fully informed. And now, Randy's going to say a real quick word about the VeriTread and IronPlanet integration and partnership, and then I'm going to go into some more specific details.
Yeah, thanks, Jeff. So a lot of the issues that Jeff just highlighted, the challenges and issues faced by the industry, you know, our customers have faced those every time they buy an item through IronPlanet. And, you know, as I mentioned, we've worked with Jeff for years and years. Our relationship initially started when Jeff's trucking business was one of our preferred providers in our old preferred transportation provider program, which was basically, you know, we would offer these providers to our customers as referrals, and then our customers would work directly with the transportation company to get quotes, and you know, they would be providing whatever information they could beyond the description of the unit, and we were basically we weren't involved in it beyond just, you know, introducing the parties, and we could see, you know, on a daily basis the issues not only from those customers who chose our preferred providers, but we had many customers that, you know, that weren't even choosing those providers and were choosing their own. We saw the issues that our customers encountered in getting successful and cost-effective freight delivered. So we made the decision that we wanted to have an exclusive partner in this space so that we could have a direct influence on this important piece of the transaction for our customers. So when we started investigating, you know, exclusive partners, the things that we were looking for in terms of attributes of the partner included they needed to have a technology solution and an approach that we felt like matched IronPlanet, right? We're the leading online marketplace for heavy equipment. Well, VeriTread is really, from our perspective, virtually the only heavy haul focused marketplace for transportation. So VeriTread was a great fit with that criterion. Also, we wanted to make sure they had experience and understanding of heavy haul industry problems, and Jeff has already kind of demonstrated a command of those. But, you know, his experience having owned a trucking business and dealt with these issues personally and firsthand were a great, you know, experience builder for him in building out these VeriTread solutions. Thirdly, creativity and a focus on solving industry problems. Okay, one of the things I want to remind you guys of, you know, unlike our new parent company, Ritchie Brothers, where items are typically sold from a common controlled yard or location, the IronPlanet items are sold from sellers' locations all over North America, and they have very widely varying circumstances in terms of logistics and loadout support and all of those things. So just tons of unique situations that will influence the transportation requirements for a given item. And then finally, integrity. We want all of our partners to have integrity, and Jeff and VeriTread, they have it in spades. We saw it when we worked with them with Rounders, and we've seen it ever since then. They're all about exceeding expectations and doing what's right for the customer. Now, you know, in terms of integration, we knew that, you know, we've got to move beyond just pairing up the buyer and the transportation partners. We wanted to collect all of this detailed information and be able to share that with with our buyers and with their transportation partners, so that we could get accurate quotes and create no surprises for our customers in the end. So all of our integration efforts have been, our teams on the business side, on the engineering side, working hand in hand with each other to identify and develop functionality that best serves our customers. And we're always working to get better and improve our offering. Jeff is going to walk through the details of the functionality and offering that we have for our customers in this space, but we're always working to get better, and there's a number of things that we're working on real time that customers will see very soon that will further improve our offering. So Jeff is going to walk through these things with us.
Thanks, Randy. I really appreciate those kind words. So really the integration starts pre-purchase, and it starts when you're shopping for the item. So I apologize, but I'm going to switch screens real quick and come over to an IronPlanet item page, and most of you are probably familiar with this. So IronPlanet does a brilliant job of cataloging and inspecting equipment. 78 pictures, engine analysis, track, undercarriage, everything you need to know to be comfortable purchasing this machine. Now, like we mentioned, your second largest cost, other than the price of the machine, is going to be your transport cost. So as you scroll down this item page, here on the right-hand side, when you get to this VeriTread logo, this is what we provide pre-purchase. So you can see that we provide a schematic. You're going to see detailed transportation dimensions. It's worth pointing out, even if you don't use VeriTread and you send in your own truck, this is good information to have. This is how you know how to permit your load. This is how you know how to prepare for your load. So, if you're anywhere but the U.S., you can switch to metric or English Standard Version. And you come down here, and IronPlanet's telling us this machine's located in Chattanooga, Tennessee. My location on file with IronPlanet, Pinellas Park, Florida. I can change that very easily if it's going to a port or somewhere else. But with the single click of a button, we can calculate teardowns, permit costs, escorts, and we can give you a highly reliable freight number that you can now use as a plug number to build your deal. So you can expect to pay actually a little bit less than what's shown here when you list that freight inside the VeriTread marketplace. So now you're purchase ready. You can go and purchase that machine. We really feel like it's the only accurate tool in the industry. It's got this slider here, so kind of the rule of thumb is the more time you have, the cheaper the cost of the transport. So you can see that the number of days shifts at the bottom. And if you want to pick up 1 or 2 days, now the cost has gotten quite a bit higher, but you're paying for that expedited service. So this is built off of all sorts of past analytics and pricing history, but also 9 various variables that impact transport pricing, such as fuel prices and routing and the width of the machine, the weight of the machine, all of these different variables. Now, in about 95% of all cases, an electronic estimate we feel is the way to go. You can have confidence in this number and bid with confidence, knowing you're going to cover the cost of that machine if you use that as your plug number. But sometimes a machine is, an outlier. There's something about it, whether it's the weight or the width or the height, that we're not comfortable with an electronic estimate. We don't feel like it's responsible giving you an electronic estimate. So for sake of demonstration, I'm going to assume that this is now a 400,000-pound excavator, which would make it a shovel. Now I click Get Estimate, and it's not going to return an electronic estimate. What it's going to say is, we're not comfortable providing electronic estimate, and this is not a bug, this is an intentional. But we also leave you with a mechanism so that you can still understand your freight costs. You can click that List Shipment button, all the load details will get piped over to the VeriTread marketplace, and now you're engaging actual transportation companies to get live bids. So this option is always available to you, even on the smaller items, but we essentially highlight when we feel it's the best option, so to speak. So I'm going to switch back to the presentation now. That's the estimator tool. Now, let's assume you purchase the machine on IronPlanet, and this is a look at the checkout process. So after you make your IronPlanet purchase, you simply select the VeriTread option at checkout, and all of the relevant information is going to be piped over to VeriTread automatically. Because we have such a deep integration with IronPlanet, their inspection process, their checkout process, we have fully automated the tedious process of listing freight. So we're going to be able to identify more information in fewer steps. So this is literally one click. When you do this, it's free. There's no obligation. You only get charged if you select one of our transportation bids. So, feel free to try it risk-free. There's no loopholes or gotchas there. So once your detailed freight listing hits the VeriTread marketplace, it's worth highlighting some of the different features of this document. So we have gone to meticulous detail to create a game plan that you and your transportation company can follow. And this has a lot of advantages to you that may not be apparent on the surface. So we provide a picture of the machine, the dimensions of the machine. We provide an oversized route of the machine. So that's not just a Google map. That's built off of the dimensions of that particular machine. So it'll have accurate mileage and things like that. We also provide all of the pickup, drop-off information. And then that section that you see highlighted there is what we call our load advisor. And this is a patented tool that was built specifically for IronPlanet and to help solve what we call this online reseller dilemma. So we've electronically identified all of the intrinsic knowledge and kind of expert know-how required to move this hard-to-move equipment. So if you dive into what it says there, you're going to need 2 escorts. It's going to tell you what permits are required. Because this item's going to port, the driver's going to need a TWIC card. All of those things are issues that our customers have experienced in the past that have led to costly delays and added expenses. We also tell you how the machine's going to break down. It starts and moves under its own power. If the machine is disassembled, we can provide a packing list. So we do this, to provide more detail and fewer steps. And we really believe it leads to sharper rates, less questions, and a much more accountable transportation experience. The idea here is we're building a shipping contract that protects you. It indemnifies you in certain ways. If there is a misunderstanding at the point of pickup, if this trucking company shows up with a step deck trailer to load a 100,000-pound bulldozer, you can buzz baloney on that. You can say, look at your contract. We told you it needs a beam trailer, a lowboy, or a drop rail. Those are the only 3 trailers that can move this machine. So this is an exclusive tool, and it really does eliminate a lot of friction points and leads to smoother, smarter transactions. Now, once this load is delivered, the transportation company will mark it delivered, and then this then becomes a legal bill of lading, which is sent back to IronPlanet electronically on your behalf. And if you're not a licensed dealer, what that means to you is an expedited sales tax refund process. So as soon as IronPlanet gets this document's been marked delivered, they can start issuing that refund to you if a refund is due. So really at this point, once it's listed in VeriTread, you can sit back and relax. As bids come in, we're going to notify you via email. On average, you're going to get between 6 to 8 bids. We make it very easy for you to track, manage, and edit your shipment. You can do it from inside the VeriTread marketplace, or you can log into your IronPlanet portal and go to the My Account section, and you can get an update from there as well. And then if you click that little area in the red box there, it will launch your VeriTread control panel. When logging into VeriTread for the first time, you can use your IronPlanet username and password. This will save you the aggravation of needing to create an account. It's another key aspect of our integration. We have single sign-on just to make it one step easier for you. So this is a look at what some potential bids may look like. And this, in my opinion, is another key aspect to our value proposition. So I believe very strongly that multiple competitive bids save you money, but it's important that it's handled the right way. I know on some other platforms that all of the bids are made transparent, and that may seem like a good idea. If you're a trucking company and you see the bid before you is $1,000, you know where you stand, so you come in at $990, and then the next guy comes in at $850, and those platforms tend to get a lot of bids, but they're not nearly as meaningful as powerful. So ours is a blind bid system, meaning the carriers don't see who they're bidding against or the other amount. And we have studied both approaches in great length, and we found that this pricing mechanism is not only more carrier friendly, they don't despise it as much, but it also leads to better pricing. And the reason being is if you're a trucking company and you need a load out of Texas, and the current bid is $5,000, well, you're going to bid $4,900. Well, if you don't know what the current bid is, you might bid $2,500. So we find that this is a much more effective way of reducing bids. Now, I know some of you are skeptical about working with companies that you don't have personal relationships with, and we've gone to great lengths to sort of overcome that. So all of our carriers are going to fall into one of four categories. They're either going to be unrecommended, bronze, silver, or gold. And this is based on their overall customer satisfaction rating. There's actually 9 variables that go into that metric. But I like this particular example because the guy on top is actually slightly higher priced than the person in the middle. But the guy on top is a trucking company. The company in the middle is a freight broker. So the guy on top has trucking capacity at his disposal. He's done 211 jobs. The other guy's done 21 jobs. He has a 96% customer satisfaction rating, whereas the silver-rated freight broker has a 90% customer satisfaction rating. So in my opinion, it's well worth the extra $175 to do business with the trucking company on top. Now, if you need more assurance, one, VeriTread only works with a premium network of heavy haul trucking companies. So we have built this off of the backs of some of the largest companies in the entire industry. So we have an enterprise platform where we're able to capture their hauling capacity, and these are large Cat dealerships and Komatsu dealerships and Deere dealerships. So these are really haulers that don't haul for other online platforms. We've got visibility into that capacity that, to be frank, others don't. You can also click on this little eye here and get even more detail around these carriers. So you can see this trucking company was founded in 1998. One of our exclusive capabilities is we're able to monitor compliance information and insurance levels in real time. So if you click on this and, one, if they're not properly insured, they're not going to be in the network. But you can see what level of insurance they have. You can also see who has marked them as a preferred carrier inside the industry. So Linder Machinery uses the carrier, Titan, Komatsu, Power Motive. It's probably a safe bet that this guy is going to take good care of you. This is a high quality transportation company. And the reason we go to such lengths is we want you to extend your reach without increasing the level of risk. So this is probably more information than you know about your local hauler. And now you've got 8 different bids to pick from. And if that's not enough, we also encourage you to ask questions, browse past customer feedback, or contact us directly, and we'll put you in direct contact if need be. So, we've really gone to great lengths so that you can have a high degree of confidence in who you're doing business with. Real quick, talking about post-purchase. Anytime you apply a technology model to a fragmented and old school industry such as the trucking industry, take it from me, it's not easy. Despite our best efforts to eliminate all the friction, problems can and do arise. and we anticipate those. So I want you to know that IronPlanet and VeriTread, we stand behind our service. At any time, you can contact IronPlanet Transportation Services. You can contact VeriTread's customer care, phone, email, via the website. We're not one of these, neither company is one of these online platforms that don't get involved. We'll roll up our sleeves, we'll use the leverage we have in the industry to hold the carriers accountable, and we'll do whatever we can to go to bat for you to make sure that it's a fair deal. Now, with that said, it does have to be a fair deal. So, you know, there's two sides to that. We're certainly not anti-carrier. We watch out for those guys as well. But every now and then a bad apple gets through, and you know someone's being taken advantage of. And I just want you to know that we stand behind the service, and if you need us, we're going to be there for you. All right. So up until this point, I've really talked about where we are as a marketplace. And now I want to do is I want to shift and tell you a little bit about the future of the technology and why we're building what we're building, where we feel it's headed. So author Malcolm Gladwell defined the tipping point as the moment of critical mass, the threshold, the boiling point. We really feel like for transportation and logistics, that means mobile solutions. So mobile for VeriTread and really for the entire logistics industry is an absolute game changer. So we are trying to consolidate the industry's trucking capacity. Well, we know from previous slides, the trucking capacity is made up of small mom and pop operators. It's a fragmented niche. A lot of the best haulers are in the cab of a truck. They're not these big fleet owners. They're hands-on guys. In order to reach them in a meaningful way, mobile technology is an absolute must. And we see this trend, obviously IronPlanet sort of led the revolution, but even as late as last quarter, every quarter, another 5% of Ritchie's buyers are buying online. So we know that this is true in other aspects of the industry. And later this year, when VeriTread launches their mobile application, you're going to see really game-changing ramifications in how we match supply with demand. So I feel like, every time I read an article or open a newspaper, another company has raised $10 million to Uberize the freight experience, or they're going to Uberize this model. And to be honest with you, I track those companies really closely, and they're not really that close. They've underestimated the workflow. They don't have things like that load advisor tool. They don't have 60,000 items in their dimensions database. They can't electronically match supply with demand the way VeriTread does, where we tell you, okay, this machine can go on these 11 trailer types. This machine can go on these 2 trailer types. They don't have 25 years of pricing analytics behind them. So without all of that compiled intellectual property, a fancy application, that's all it is. It's not going to have the power of an Uber has, to disrupt the cab market. So the way I like to state it is, today VeriTread's an online marketplace. We've effectively automated the transaction. But in very short order, we are going to be facilitating the interaction. We are going to be identifying the right trucking capacity for you with the click of a button. And let me just give you a visual of what I mean by this. So we're really the only company that electronically profiles their way. We electronically profile the freight in a way where, like you've seen in our slides, we really understand how it needs to move. We've drawn an electronic imaginary box around this freight, ignored the empty spaces, and then we profile the industry's capacity in such a way that we can identify things like who has extra capacity, who's in the right proximity, what are the loading restrictions, who's got the proper equipment type. This is going to have to go on at least an 8-axle lowboy trailer. And then what are their capabilities? Are they of the right qualification? Are they gold rated? So once we identify this, we're able to make a much more meaningful and targeted match. So in the very near future, it's going to be fewer bids, but more relevant bids, more targeted bids. We're going to dial you into the right trucking company who's in the right place with the right capabilities at the right time. And we really feel like this adds value not only to the equipment buyers, but to the carriers as well. Because inside the heavy haul industry, 40% of the time, they're running empty. It's just assumed they're not going to have a backhaul. And it's assumed because they don't have a network to plug into to find this backhaul freight the way that reefer or van freight moves. So we feel like it's not only simpler, it really is, it's better, it's more complete, and it's going to be a major efficiency gain for the entire industry. So that's basically it for my core presentation. After this presentation finalizes, IronPlanet is going to be sending out a recording of the video of the webinar. And inside that, you'll find a link to this video, which sort of summarizes everything I've spoken on today. So feel free to review that, share that with your friends. We would love to get to know you and them as well. And at this point, I think we're going to open up to some Q&A, question and answers if anyone has any.
Yes, thank you, Jeff. Now we will proceed to the question and answer portion of the webinar. As Jeff mentioned, to our audience on the call, if you have not typed your questions yet, please write them in the chat window on the GoToWebinar portal, and we will answer as time allows. Jeff, our first question is for you. In the past, we have had issues with carriers agreeing to a price and then showing up and charging their rate. How can we protect ourselves from this and hold the carriers more accountable?
Oof, good one. So we call that flip-flopping, and that is not unique to you. We have encountered that, and so, you know, sometimes the carrier's caught off guard, and they're expecting a 10-foot blade, and it's a 12-foot blade, and in that instance, it's probably appropriate that they increase their price. However, I understand the nature of your question, and what I would encourage you to do, even if you don't use VeriTread, is create a shipping contract. Be sure it clearly outlines all of the details. It has a clause that indemnifies you. It says something to the nature of the carrier cannot increase the cost of, cannot increase the increased cost of this load without express written permission from me. And that will help, protect you from carriers being able to flip-flop. But part of the advantage of that load advisor data and that shipping document we put together is they're going in fully informed. They really don't have a leg to stand on if they try to hold you hostage and increase your rate. The only other thing I would add is use IronPlanet and Ritchie Brothers and VeriTread. These carriers value the relationship they have with our company. These carrier placards that I showed you and their ratings, those are very meaningful. And to be frank, we have more leverage over these carriers than most individual shipping customers. So if you get in a situation where you feel you're being treated unfairly, contact us. Let us see what we can do to help you.
Excellent. Thanks, Jeff. Another question here from the audience. Jeff, can you tell us how VeriTread selects the carriers in your network?
Another great question. So VeriTread actually has two platforms, and I'm not going to go into detail on the other one, but the other platform is what we call our enterprise platform. And that is for high volume shipping customers like dealerships and equipment manufacturers. So some of the largest Caterpillar, Komatsu, and Deere dealers use that platform to sort of build and manage their own internal logistics platform. So when a large Caterpillar dealer gets on the VeriTread platform, the first thing they do is they send a letter out to all their haulers saying that, Milton Cat is going to VeriTread. If you want to continue to haul for Milton, you have to join VeriTread. So by doing this, we have been able to build an industry-leading premium network of heavy haul trucking companies. And then, as you've seen, we monitor them very, very closely. If they drop below an 86% customer satisfaction rating, we just boot them out of the marketplace. So we have no tolerance for people who don't keep their word or operate with low levels of integrity. But these enterprise relationships that we've been able to piggyback off of have enabled us in a very short order to build a nationwide network of premium transportation companies.
All right, we have another question here, Jeff. When we solicit multiple transport bids, we see a very large spread in the bid amounts. Why does pricing vary so much from job to job or carrier to carrier?
When I operated as a carrier, I got this one all the time because it, to the shipping customer, it seems almost like there's something funny going on. Sometimes you will bid the same exact job, the same exact machine, and last time it was $1,000 and this time it's $1,500. And the primary reason for that is trucking is highly situational. Sometimes you need a backhaul. Sometimes the carrier might want to get home for his daughter's birthday or be home for the weekend. It has a lot to do with, like in Florida, every February we have all the equipment auctions. So there's a lot of freight coming out of Florida, and that can impact pricing. But it really has to do with what capacity does the carrier need a backhaul. And really that's one of the big values of how we solicit freight bids. By electronically getting freight bids, you're extending your reach and you're finding the carriers who need the backhaul. You're at least casting a wider net and you have a better chance of finding them. So I can't encourage that enough. It's if you can extend your reach without increasing your risk, you will drastically reduce your freight pricing.
Excellent. What are the primary differences between VeriTread and other online transportation marketplaces?
Oh gosh, I'm never comfortable talking about competitors, so we'll keep it vague. Three things come to mind. First and foremost is we're industry specific. I grew up in this industry. So did my father. So did my grandfather. Every member of my team has a passion for what we do. I'm not being dramatic when I tell you we truly care about the men and women in this industry. It's been good to us for a very long time, and it's a legacy that I look forward to passing down to my son. So being industry specific doesn't only mean we provide specific tools to help specific problems. It means we just are passionate about this industry. It's what we do. It's what we love. The second thing I touched on the last question, and that is our carrier network is just a cut above. They don't haul for these other platforms. They just don't do it. And that's primarily because they don't have the leverage of those enterprise relationships. And then lastly, our mission statement here is focused around truth and transparency. So everything from that estimate you get pre-purchase, the only complaint I've had about that estimate through the years is that it's a little high. And you know what? I'm okay with that. It's a little high by design because if you plug that number in and you buy that machine and then I end up transporting it cheaper for you, you're going to be okay with that. But if you use that estimate and then you end up, your freight cost is going to be twice as much, that's not okay. Now, that mentality may cost us money, may cost us deals. Sometimes these other marketplaces will give you a low ball estimate, get you to list the freight, and then you find out that it's actually a lot more expensive. But we just don't do it that way. And that's really an extension of the IronPlanet philosophy. It may be good, it may be bad, it may be ugly, but that IronPlanet inspection report is going to tell you either way. And we feel the same way about our service.
All right, here's another question from the audience. Does VeriTread allow for direct communication with the transport company?
So yes. Before you select a bid, we make it very easy for you to ask questions. You also have a sales rep who is assigned to you, so you can call into us, and a very knowledgeable heavy haul expert will be able to broker a call for you. But as soon as you accept a bid, we send you an email with that transportation company's contact information. So you'll have a name, phone number, and email address so that you can work through any remaining details.
Okay, and so I've got a few other questions coming in from the audience, Jeff. So how can VeriTread work to market the true truck or the true tractor, basically that true item, and my trailer to move opportunities out there?
I'm sorry, Alex. Can you repeat that? I got a little bit better.
Yep, no worries. So how can VeriTread work to market the true truck and tractor and trailer to move opportunities out there? So I'm assuming this is coming from a supplier.
Gotcha. So you think it's coming from someone in the trucking business or someone who sells trucks?
I would say that this is coming from someone in the trucking business.
Okay, yeah, and so we work hand in hand with our carriers, and these relationships, a lot of them go back 3 generations, and what we do is we just tell the truth about their service, and so the cream rises to the top, and they tend to get more work. So if you are the style company who keeps your word, you do what you say, you honor your pricing, you communicate effectively, you will get more work inside the VeriTread marketplace, pure and simple. So we want those companies in our network. We want to promote those companies inside our network. In order to more effectively do business with you, at the end of this year, we're going to launch a mobile application that is going to change the game. And for the trucking company, that means that we are going to identify freight that matches your exact need in the cab of the truck. So we're going to know when you need a load, when you're available for a load, what type of trailer you're hauling, and then we're going to electronically engage you with those opportunities. So just understand that process is evolving. Today, you come on VeriTread and you search for freight. In the very near future, the freight is going to find you.
Excellent. So I've got another question from a user that had used some other platforms and had received incorrect bids because the carrier received the wrong route and ultimately, would take them through a city or something of that nature. Can you please talk more about VeriTread's routing and mileage calculator?
Yes. So for those who don't know, Google Maps and these other mapping softwares, where they're brilliant for what they do, they cannot do oversized routing. There is one company that can do that. That company is PC Miler. We're fully integrated with them, and a lot of times there's a lot of misleading information around that because the shipper will run a Google Maps search and they'll say, well, it's a 200-mile trip. Well, it's really a 350-mile trip because there's roads we can't go down, there's bridges we can't go under, there's infrastructure concerns. So we rely on the PC Miler service, which to my knowledge is the only service that can provide that type of routing.
Okay, and I've got a question from a potential carrier. Is payment to the carrier within set payment terms guaranteed by VeriTread/IronPlanet?
So the short answer is no. That is on our product roadmap to integrated payment service. But today, the way it works is when the buyer, the shipping customer, accepts the bid, we take a small fee right off their credit card, and then we put you in direct communication to work out the remainder of that payment. However, those payment terms had already been agreed to when you submit your bid. So if you have net 30 terms or you need cash on delivery, when that shipping customer is accepting your bid, they're agreeing to those payment terms. And like I said, we are not one-sided here. If there's carriers on this call who feel like they're getting treated unfairly or they're not getting paid, give us a call. Let us pick up the phone and see what we can do, because we expect our buyers and shipping customers to honor the terms the same way we expect the carriers to.
All right, and this will be our final question for the day. Jeff, how can a new upstart trucking company become a carrier within VeriTread?
Great question, and I'd love to hear that, because if we need more capacity in the industry, that's an issue. So anytime someone's getting into it, What I would say is go to our website and register, but then call us. Call us and ask to speak to one of our, we call it carrier care department, and we want to get to know you. So it's more than just, an online profile. Call us, tell us what you do, tell us where you run, what kind of equipment you run, what kind of freight you're looking for, and we will find ways to plug you in. And, for your first 10 jobs, you'll show up as unrated until we get a feel for your service. But we can help facilitate that, and we can do a lot of vetting over the phone and through other customers that you haul for. So I can tell you we have a high degree of interest in getting to know you.
And Jeff, I know I said that would be the last question there, but we actually have another one that came in that will probably be a good one to answer. So does VeriTread support shipping to Canada for units that are originating in the United States?
Yes. So we work with a preferred customs broker. We call it Canada Easy Pass, I believe is the marketing term we use for it. But yes, you can book equipment originating in Canada or delivering to Canada. And then I think I'm almost positive it's a 38 flat fee for the customs brokerage piece on that. Don't hold me to that, but we do provide an integrated customs brokerage piece. I'm almost positive that's right. So and we're happy to coach you on that pre-purchase. We understand that exchange rates vary and that sometimes it's more popular going one way than next, but we're very, very comfortable crossing the border.
All right, thank you, Jeff. And that was our final question. So at this time, this will conclude today's webinar. We greatly appreciate everyone's attendance today and hope it was a benefit for you. We will be sending a recording of today's presentation to all attendees today for your reference. In the event that we did not get a chance to respond to a question or you have further questions, we will certainly provide responses as soon as possible. And we appreciate everyone's time. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.